So we're just handing out the first lab one, and lab one. The idea is to focus you on learning, and this is sort of this theory that they have, which is if you write something and you're looking at it while you're writing it, it's easier to learn it than it is in other ways. And the other thing is to put it in your own words. Now, I will tell you, if you go and look on the D2L contents, so you know D2L content, you can see me highlighting it there. If you go and look on the D2L content for this week, you will find that there is a document. Oh, look, I got some documents that you can't really see. So let's make it visible. That one. Oh yeah, there's the definitions. Look at that. There's the answers to all those definitions, and I just made it so that you can see it. And there's a LinkedIn thing as well. So I mean, the answers are there. So you might just say, oh well, you know what? I'll just go and get that document and copy paste and put it in. Well, yeah. What did you learn there? Nothing. You know what I mean? You learned copy paste. So what we want you to do is put it in your own words, right? It shouldn't be the same words. So that means that you look at it, you understand it, and you write it slightly different. Then you learned it. Now, even better, and the reason why I hand out paper, you won't see me handing out paper again. This is the first and last time. The reason I handed out the paper is so you can write an answer with your own handwriting and make it short. So if it's in that small space, but it should be short, but it actually gets the meaning. Then you've thought about it and you've made it. Now, actually, you'll learn in your academic writing, because you guys are going to do a degree, right? You're doing degrees. This is not, you know, 2-year diploma stuff. This is degrees. And so you need to do some writing. And in your writing, you should learn that the skill in writing is not to make lots of words, but to get the meaning in as short a space as possible with as few as words. And that's a really good skill to have. And what it means is that you have to be able to look at somebody else has written, you know, 400 words of something, and can you distill that down to 15 words? Well, probably, because people do sort of multiply words a lot. So, you know, and that's a skill that you should develop, and it'll certainly help you to understand what you're doing. But it also means that you can write in a way that other people understand what you're doing. Sorry, you had your hand up. Well, it's a lot, isn't it? Yeah. You don't have to do it today. You got like a week to do it or something. All right. So, but it's just a little exercise for that. And I'll give you some time tomorrow as well. But let's see how far we get today in today's exercise. So we started. Did I give you this in the last lesson? I'm sorry that I'm not remembering exactly, because I've got 2 sections of this course. And so that's easy, but we did this, right? We talked to, yeah, all right. So that's good. We can go on to the next bit. Yeah, welcome. So let's do that, which is, what's this one? That's that lecture, right? So the next one was first class. Did we do this one? I mean, it kind of looks the same. Yeah, oh, no, actually, this is the one that we haven't done. We haven't done the one on why does the course matter. So let's go and get into that. Did we do this? Because there's 2 lectures. I think we only did one. Didn't we do this other one here, which was it kind of looks the same. Did we do that? Maybe we didn't do that. No, we didn't do this one. All right, but we did the other one. Yeah. Pretty sure we did this one then. Yeah. Okay, well, let's go and do this other one then. As long as we get, where is it? It's up here, right? Comp1 lab week. Oh, that's the lab. Just this one. This one, my goodness. Computers, week 1, this one. This one is the one we didn't do. Wow, look at that. That's kind of horrible. Network problem. Slow. There, this is the one that we didn't do, or we did do this? No, we didn't do. We did this or no? Actually, this looks different. Week 1. All of a sudden, it all looks different. No, we didn't do this. We didn't do this?
We only did the one that you show us previous.
We didn't do this about getting there on time and stuff? All right, let's do it. This is and it's an opportunity to get to know some people that came in that weren't in the class last time, so that's fine too. Yeah, go ahead.
For the paper you gave us, we like find the definition from internet and we write it in our own words or what?
You can find the definition on the internet, but the definitions are also here on D2L.
Okay.
Did you see that? The definitions are right there.
You write it in our own words?
Write it in your own words. Don't just copy it, right? Because you won't have enough space to copy it. But there they are there. That's the definition. See? There's the definitions.
We cannot do the online version, right?
You can do online if you can find it. Yeah.
It is actually, yeah.
Okay. Right. So let's go through this. I hope it's not again. We only got an hour, so let's kind of cruise through that. I'm sure we talked about this, right? The penetration of the internet into Qatar. All right. All right. That's just about that. The point is that everybody's got some kind of device that connects to the internet, right? Even kids do it, right? They all got smartphones or tablets or something like that. And actually, Qatar is pretty lucky because it's a small country geographically. You know what I mean? It's like 150 kilometers from north to south, right? And 100 kilometers east to west. And so that's good for a telecom company because it means that you don't have to rely on sort of satellites and microwave and that kind of stuff. You don't have to use these other technologies. You can do stuff with fiber. And you know what I mean by fiber, right? Optical fibers. That's a much fastest way of setting up a communication network. And so that's what we've done in that. And actually, usually the backbone of telecommunication companies is going to be fiber and stuff like that. But in Qatar, we've got fiber coming into people's houses, even into apartments, right? You got fiber coming all the way in there. And so that means that we can have very fast internet speeds. And so there's a couple of things that make it very fast. One is the fiber, which is able to carry very high bandwidth. And the second thing is the protocols that they use. And those are always the telecommunications protocols. The engineers are always advancing in that thing. So when I say advancing, using the same media cables, they're able to get higher speeds by improving the protocols that they use for the communications. And so we see that, and you might, I don't know if you pay for your telecommunications, maybe it's just us old guys that do. But what happens with us old guys who pay the bill is that Arito calls us up like once every 3 months or something like that and said, would you like to upgrade to, I don't know, whatever it was, double your download speeds and all the rest of it, because they can do that.
Yeah.
They can do that because, and they haven't put any new fiber into your house. So how do they do that? Well, they got new protocols that they can sort of get a bigger bandwidth on the same thing. So that's pretty exciting. Qatar has pretty fast Wi-Fi. And well, why did I say Wi-Fi? Pretty fast broadband. I say Wi-Fi because everybody's got a router in their house. And the router is providing a Wi-Fi connection. The other thing that we've got in Qatar that is pretty advanced is we went from 3G to 4G to 5G, right? So many people got 5G on their phones. 5G gives you pretty good bandwidth. You're out in the desert, Facebooking, putting pictures of your friends into your friends. You can do that now. And so we've all got these connections to a pretty good telecommunications network. And we don't just have Arito here, we have Vodafone as well. And Vodafone sort of, I guess you could say, is to keep Arito honest. That's not the right word. I should say to keep Arito, it's like a horse race, right? It's like to keep Arito running faster. Yeah, so they have to run faster, otherwise their customers will go to Vodafone. And so that's very good. And we all benefit from that because we get faster, cheaper computing. So some of the things that we'll talk about there, IoT, yeah, really. Why does this course matter? Because computers are important to all of us. Now, what I understand is you guys are not IT people. You're sort of business people. Maybe that's why we're doing it in this room. But you still use computing a lot. A lot of IT people use, a lot of business people use computing. It might surprise you, and I learned this when I studied accounting. Actually, my master's degree is accounting, so I do a bit of business stuff too. Might surprise you that what I learned in my first accounting course is that the first spreadsheet, which was called VisiCalc, which was sort of invented in 1978 by an accountant working at MIT, right? And so he invented VisiCalc because he wanted to have a tool that he could use with his accounting students that was better than just doing things with pieces of paper. Because that's how they used to do it. You know, a spreadsheet would be sort of this grid, and you'd sit with it with a pencil and an eraser, and you're writing in things and erasing them out, you know. And he's like, well, you know, we could probably do that better using a computer. And he invented VisiCalc, an accountant. So a lot of really smart accountants around. Actually, I studied accounting when I was working in a telephone company in Australia because I was an IT service manager. And I studied accounting because I found that all of my customers, that's the language they spoke. They, you know what I mean? And they wanted to talk to me about chart of accounts. And I'm like, what's a chart of accounts? You know? So I decided better learn the language that they have. So yeah, what about you guys? So some of you students, we asked this question last time, right? And some of you, we didn't. So I guess we got a little bit of time for the people who didn't. Could we, Safe, can you remind me what it is, what's your degree?
Digital communication. And media
so Safe is digital communications and media. What was your interest?
Cars.
Cars. Oh, that's a good interest. I like that one. Hossein. Did I say it right? Hossein? Hussein.
No, it's Sultan.
Sultan. Oh, that's right. Sultan. Your degree and your interest. So digital communications? Yes. Interest? Video games. My daughter plays video games. And my son too. Oh yeah, everybody plays video games. Actually, I think I have a daughter who's like 38 years old. So I have old kids and I have young kids. My 38-year-old, so I have grandkids. And her rule in her house is she would only let the kids have screen time. So screen time is on your mobile phone or on a computer or whatever, like half hour a day. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. So I think back, well, I got young kids with me and Cutter, and they're doing like, I don't know, 5 hours of screen time. And I'm like, so I'm not really a very good parent, am I? And then I thought, well, you know what? Your job is going to be screen time. So I really don't have a problem with it. Ladies over here in the corner, what's your degree and what's your interest? And what's your name? Shahnan. Shahnan. Shahnai.
Shahinaz.
Shahinan.
Naz.
Shahinad.
No, Z at the end. There is Z, not N.
Shahinaz.
Yes.
Is that Arabic name?
Yes.
I mean, it's Persian.
Yeah.
Digital marketing.
Now the digital, we got digital communications and digital marketing.
I like kittens.
Cats.
That's my interest. I love them.
Well, you must spend some time on YouTube then,
I spend a lot of time.
because that's where all the cats are.
That's it.
Do you post stuff about kittens?
Yes, I do. Post all it.
Yeah, okay. So that's kind of classical. I mean, you fit right in with like, I don't know, 2 billion people do that, I
Yeah,
guess.
right.
Shahinas, the cat-loving digital marketer. There we go. So you can market sort of cat products, I
Yeah,
suppose.
sure. Why not?
Hmm.
Maybe help
That product,
design homes.
that didn't sound very good. Cat products, because
Cat
if I say cow products, we know what that means. So what I mean is things that you would give to somebody with a cat.
Yeah. For sure.
All right. Besides Shahanaz, Tathreem.
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
Yeah, that is correct.
Tathreem.
I'm accounting and I like painting and drawing.
Painting and drawing. See, so kind of like Leonardo da Vinci, right? You know, he's a scientist and an artist at the same time. Yeah, that's cool. You were here last time, but remind me. Majid. Yeah, I remember you from last time. Majid. And you're another digital marketer? Where you know? Digital communications guy. What's your interests again? Gaming. Gaming. So you're like Sultan. Yeah, okay. Over here. Abdullah, were you here last time?
No.
Did you do this? You didn't. So I don't know you. I don't know what your digital marketing. Cars. Oh gosh, that's great. I'm more into motorbikes myself, but I don't mind cars, especially desert cars. You know, Land Cruisers, that kind of thing. Right? All right, so that's Abdullah, car-loving digital marketer. Fatma,
Yes, accounting and I like video games and piano.
you like video games as well. And what was the other thing? Piano. Did you tell me that last time? Yeah, you were sitting there last time, the pianist. And last time we had Muhammad. Oh no, is he in a different class? The marketing, the piano, no. We have another student, Muhammad, who writes music. So we got a few musician people around. That's great. Abdulaziz, were you here last time? Okay, so tell us. See all these accountants. That's awesome. Okay, and boxing. You like parties? Poetry. You write poetry. Classical Arabic poetry or some other kind of poetry? That's quite a skill to write that. Yeah, so that's what I've heard. And people like it a lot. So you can go and recite it. Yeah, that's good. So we can get some poetry and we can get some music. We can have a nice time. Faida. Another accountant. You like watching movies? So you're Netflix, OSN, yeah, Amazon Prime. Where do you find your movies? Marvel. Okay, yeah, that's kind of like, yeah, that'd be a competitor to Disney, right? Yeah, they have their own thing. Yeah, okay, cool. Again, I think we met last time, but tell me again.
My name is Hannah.
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 Hala. Another pianist, yeah.
And I'm
HR, yeah, that's right. The scary people. No, scary. HR is your friend, right? Yeah. Yeah, we hope.
How much are you?
Sorry?
How much are you?
Yeah, good.
My name is
Alice?
Alice.
Alec?
Alice.
Alice?
Alice.
Alice, okay.
I like makeup. My name is
You like
makeup.
makeup?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, I mean, again, computers and makeup, is that right? I mean, there's so, actually there's this one channel that I've come across a couple of times and it's just, I don't know why I even watch it, but this lady, there's like 10 different channels that I've seen that people will talk about criminal cases. They say, oh, in this case, these people did this and that people did that. There's this one lady that she puts on her makeup while she's talking about it. It's like, yeah, okay. So she starts out with nothing and then she's got all this face on by the time she's finished. It only takes her like about 10 minutes. Sorry? Then she cooks a sandwich? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Okay. Yeah. The lady behind you, then we'll come back to you. Zena. Yes, we met last time. Remind us, what's your degree in healthcare management? Awesome. So does that have a lot to do with records? Because that's a big thing in healthcare. Do you study a bit of records there? Record management, is that part of it or no? No, that's a different thing. Okay, so what's your interests? Working. All right, you'll have a nice career. All right, that's fine.
My name is Fani.
Thani. Yes, I think we met before too, right? Thani, like, no? Okay. Not like Al Thani, but yeah, all right, but maybe, yeah.
I'm interested in airplane and video games.
Airplanes.
Also movies.
Do you fly?
No.
Okay, yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah. Airplanes and videos. And what's your degree?
HR.
HR. You got a few HR people and a health. You're the only health management. That's cool. You'll run a hospital one day. Inshallah. Okay.
My name is Yusuf.
Yusuf.
Yeah, my major is digital marketing. I have interest in video games and I'm trying to learn piano now.
Yeah. Okay. So very nice. We got a broad range of people with lots of different interests. So, I mean, you can talk to the different people in your class and find out something interesting to help you, I think. That's great. But the other thing I noticed is a lot of those interests will have some impact by the computers that we use, right? And certainly your degrees will. So, oh, we didn't mention dream jobs and favorite food. We could go back around, but maybe I forgot. Anybody got a particular dream job they'd like to mention? Well, I mean, I think, is it, it's not how, I'm so bad at names. Zeinab, right? I think Zeinab, your dream job is like to be the hospital manager, right? Is it? Yeah, so I mean, you know, so I mean, you'll all be shooting at something, and hopefully the degree that you do would help you with that. The foods, yeah, we all like food. You're lucky here in Qatar because we have lots of different kinds of food. So that we talked about, I think that goes the same for any other classes. Be prepared, come on time, do your assignments, contact people, make learning fun. Hopefully it's fun. And did we talk about this at all last time or no? No. What you see in that photo is a very big computer. And you see all the wires coming to it. That's how they used to do programming is, you know, disconnect wire from there, connect wire to there. They were very expensive. They used a lot of power. They did not have the technology that we have today, which makes the transistors very miniaturized. And so because of that, there were very few of them because they were so expensive. And they used them for very special purpose things. So only big governments and very, very big companies would have a computer. And yeah, they would. So there's a computer from the 1950s. And I guess those ladies are programming something. They probably would have in front of them some instructions to say, okay, this is your computer program for today. And there might be a couple of hundred sort of things that they have to do. And it's, you know, plug this into that point there, that type of thing. And so that's what they're doing there, probably, I think, is making a computer program without writing. Back in the old days, they used to call it programming with a soldering iron, but you know, they're not actually using a soldering iron. Then we got to microcomputers. The first microcomputers came around the late 1970s, and they actually got into people's houses in the 1980s. When I say the first ones in the 1970s, they would have been game computers, you know, Atari. You know, I probably not Atari, but there was some things that you could buy from Popular Science. There's some people that were selling little computers that you could build yourself. And this would be the first mass computer sale. This is the IBM XT computer. And the only memory it had is these two things here, which they call floppy disks. And it didn't have an internal hard drive. And so the amount of memory that you could store on this would be measured in kilobytes, kind of small. And so you'd have one floppy disk which had the operating system on it, and you'd put that into, you know, one of these drives is A drive, one of these drives is B drive. So you'd have to put in the A drive because you would have configured the computer to boot off of A drive. You could configure it to boot off of B drive, but usually they come out of the box when you bought it, configured to boot out of the A drive. So you put your operating system, which is on a floppy disk. So the operating system didn't have much, and turn it on, and then something would come up, and it'd come up with a prompt that looked like, you know, like this. That was it, right? And then you type in your command, you know, dir, which would show you all the files, all the 10 files or whatever. There wasn't much going on, right? And then you could load up some other software. They didn't do much. Sorry?
Someone had at the time, the minimum, how much they have?
I don't know. I had that. My first computer was kind of like that. And yeah, you'd have, I didn't have a lot of floppy disks. I mean, I had a floppy disk that had a Pascal programming language on it, and Turbo Pascal or something like that. We didn't really use the computer for very much, you know. I think I might have had one that had a spreadsheet on it. And so, you know, this kind of thing. And then you'd have your data on disks. They just weren't as useful as computers now. They're okay, but that, you know, they weren't as useful as computers now. But having said that, I mean, we got laptops pretty early, you know, or the first laptop that I ever used was like 1990, 1988. Used a laptop, so it wasn't anything like the laptops that you guys use now. Again, the operating system was like that A colon, you know. Good fun. Now a big breakthrough after the microcomputers was the introduction of the internet. So for 10 years, we're using microcomputers and we have no connection, right? All we do is put in floppy disks and type stuff. And if you want to share with somebody, you give them a floppy disk with some data on it. So there was no internet available to people's houses until like about 1990, 1991. When I say available to people's houses, that's when telephone company, where I was living in Australia then, telephone company provided that service. You could say, okay, yes, I want to have internet. And they'd sort of sell you a modem that would, you know, it was a dial-up. So with the dial-up, there was a number that you'd dial and sound like a fax machine, right? And then you'd get this connection, and then you could, that was the internet. It was slow. And you just did it on your phone line. And pretty soon after that, about 1991, the World Wide Web was kind of invented to sit over top of the internet, I guess you'd say. So the World Wide Web is the collection of all those web pages that are out there that everybody can see. So that technology, so we had the internet before we had the World Wide Web. And so the first internet that I used was, yeah, everything looked like this, right? But so I'm on there and, you know, you're looking around and what was it? You know, it's a bunch of people in Singapore, you know, complaining about their government. That's what I remember. The first thing that I read on the internet, these guys, so it would be what we call a bulletin board. You'd go to this bulletin board. And yeah, so I look around, what are all the bulletins? Oh, look at this one from Singapore. This is all these guys complaining about their government. That was like 1990 when I first started on the internet. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Let's talk to some people from Singapore. So now in the 2000s, what we found is that first internet, there wasn't very much going on. You know, there was those bulletin boards, but the internet was just really just for people to put out their communication. Now you guys are going to do digital marketing and digital communications. So you've all done that, but we've sort of gone beyond just having computers connected to the internet so that we can communicate. We actually use them we use the internet for full-on business. And so you can buy things, sell things on the internet now. So I mean, you know, connected to your bank, connected to their business, you know, connected to shipping, and all of this is possible. So we've got a much more interactive web. And now the 2000s, that wasn't so much. We really started doing that kind of thing in the last 10, 15 years with Amazon and many other, everybody's gone onto it right now. Now you got Talabat, right? Yeah, so, you know, everybody's doing this kind of thing. So everybody's got a smartphone. All of these devices would be familiar to you. One cool thing that I would notice there is the screens are pretty amazing now. So as opposed to that screen that you saw before, which is a CRT screen, which is very heavy and, you know, not very practical. We have these screens that have LEDs that don't use very much electricity, and they have beautiful colors and they're just awesome, right? Now this graph, what's cool about this graph is this is a logarithmic scale on the left. When I say logarithmic, what that means is when you go one notch to the next notch, what you're actually increasing is by multiplying the previous one by 10. So we're not increasing, you know, 1, 1, 1, 1. We're increasing 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, a million. So these gets to be pretty big numbers pretty quickly. And so what we're saying there is, so I mean, 10 to the 6, that would be a million. 10 to the 9 is a billion. 10 to the 12 is a trillion. And so mainframe computers, the size of the mainframe computer compared to something that's 10 to the 0. So 10 to the 0 is the number 1, right? And 10 to the, is that right? And so 10 to the 0 is the number 1. And so compared to the mainframe computer of the 1950s, our now device with the chip on it here, this little chip, would be 1 trillionth the size. So that's the difference in size. So we've been able to compress in size things by a factor of 1 trillion. And there's been a huge cost savings in doing that. So by making things a lot smaller, we use a lot less energy. You know, we have devices that are small that we can carry around with us. They don't produce as much heat. Yeah, so just there's some huge savings in that. And that's the way that's gone. Now that can't go on forever because you get down to the point where your the chips that you're using, that you're getting down to the size of the atoms. And so, you know, atoms are kind of indivisible. That's what the word atom means, is that it's indivisible. So you can't really work with a particular element at anything smaller than an atom. And an atom is measured in angstroms, and we're sort of getting down to that size with some of the technology that they're doing. So they're right on the chips. They design the chips and they actually print on the chips using electron micrograph. You may have heard of an electron microscope, which is how we look at things that are down near the atomic size. So an electron micrograph is like that. It's using that technology, but to write something on the surface. And so some of these big computer companies like IBM have been doing a lot of research in that area to get to miniaturization as much as they can. Yeah, enough on that, I think. Yeah, so we're sitting at home with our mobile phone and we're doing all of these things, right? We're checking our email, we're checking our phone call, we're connecting to the internet and shopping and watching, you know, if you don't have your smart TV in the room with you, if you got your smart TV, that's where you're going to watch your TV, right? But you might actually watch your TV and control it through your phone, because you can connect with your phone to your TV. And so people do that. So the phone is so useful. I mean, these things, who would have known? I would call this a computer. This to me is a computer. This is a multi-purpose computer. You can watch TV. You can do so many things. What's TV, you said? I don't know. I don't know what you call it. So you're supposed to brainstorm. What are all the things that you can do with a computer? And remember, I call this a computer as well. What can you do with a computer? What are some things that you do with a computer, even though you're not computer tech people? You do your assignments. Yeah. Call people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, and not just on this, right? You can call them on your laptop. Make meetings. So Zoom.
Yes.
And not just Zoom. You could do it with Messenger meetings. And who else has meetings? What's the Teams? And you can probably do something on WhatsApp. I don't know.
Work-related projects. Work-related projects.
Work-related projects. Yeah.
Watch movies.
Watch movies. Yeah. So there's just so many things. I mean, that's kind of great for people that don't want to work too hard, right? They can sit there in the office and they got the computer open and they're watching a Netflix and, you know, they're pretending that they're working on a spreadsheet. I don't want to give you ideas. But I've heard of that one, right? You know, the guy they have a button that they press and then a spreadsheet comes up.
Yeah.
When the boss walks by, then back to there. And don't do that. Anyways, here's some things. And you mentioned some of these. We can look for information in news, organize photos. Yeah. So now we can do photo editing, right? Photo editing, video editing. Bet you guys will do that in your digital marketing and your digital communications courses, playing games, point of sale systems at retail stores. Etoras, yeah, that's good. So the Etoras app, it actually communicates over the network, right? You would have seen that. It's not just something that's stuck on your phone. It's communicating over the network because, you know, it's supposed to do some thing about if you came in contact with somebody that had red or whatever. So yeah, it's kind of
Another app,
Matrash.
Yeah.
That makes life a bit easier, doesn't it? So I mean, like I had to sell a couple of motorbikes because I cried a lot last weekend because I sold the motorbike. But yeah, when I sold them, I just went upstairs and opened them a trash, give me the money. All right, now it's yours. And you know, they get a little message saying the vehicle transfer has happened. GPS systems, they're kind of cool. So you can always know where you are. I mean, even though I know my way around Doha, I almost always, well, not coming to work, because that's just too easy. But going anywhere that's a little out of the ordinary, I always use GPS. And the reason is because even though I know the way to get there, maybe the traffic is different. And, you know, so now we got these sort of real-time thing you tell you this, it'll give you a different route because the traffic's bad because there was an accident or something. So yeah, just use the GPS. Computers are all around us. Internet of Things. Now, the thing about the Internet of Things is that you can have, there's this idea of an IP address. IP is an internet protocol. Okay, so that's how that's the basis of the internet. Actually, is this TCP/IP? They call it. You may have heard of that. TCP/IP are the protocols that make the internet work. And so, just in short, every device that's connected to a network has to have two addresses. It's got an address called a MAC address, which is a hardware address. And that's a unique to that device. And that will never, ever change. That's basically stamped into the motherboard kind of thing. Okay, so when I say that, that's true for a computer that's connected to the, it's true for your phone. It's true for whatever little sensor that you've got. It has to have a unique address. So we have these addresses that got lots of numbers in them. So there's like billions and trillions of these available addresses. Billions. I shouldn't exaggerate. Yeah, billions of addresses. And so we've got that. And the other thing we have is this thing called the IP address. Now, the IP address, we can configure it. We can change it. And so that's up to the network people to assign the IP address. So in any one network, the network people will assign an IP address. Now, each device in a network has a unique IP address. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to get onto the network. So the point is that you can have all kinds of little devices in your house, each one of which has a MAC address and an IP address, which is able to connect onto the internet, which means that you can, from wherever you can access the internet, and that could be anywhere on the other side of the world, right? I mean, you could leave your house and your house is all these devices connected to the internet. Well, what kind of devices? Could be your fridge, you know, it could be your light bulb, you know, it could be your door lock, you know, it could be the baby camera. You know, all of these things are connected to the internet. And so you can go travel on the other side of the world as long as you got on the internet, right? You can go and do things on your house. Okay, so I'll turn the temperature down, or I'll lock that back door, or, you know, I'll turn off the lights. Yeah, this kind of thing. So that's cool thing about the internet.
Sir, when connecting to VPN,
VPN.
yeah, your IP address will get changed automatically, right?
Yeah. So what they do with the VPN is they use a proxy server. Now we use proxy servers anyways. If you have a private network, you can have a proxy server, which is going to give a particular address for the whole network. But with a VPN, what you're doing is you route your traffic through a server somewhere else. It's probably in another country. So people do that for Netflix, right? They want to watch American movies or something. So they'll get a VPN and they'll connect to an American server, and then they can watch the American Netflix.
Yeah. Also for WhatsApp calls, people use VPN because in Qatar it doesn't work.
Yeah, there you go. So what the VPN, what a VPN is actually it's, I guess you could say, like security protocols that make it so that what we call it tunneling, I guess you could say, but that your traffic, other people can't see it. It's all encrypted. So the traffic going out from your machine to another machine is all encrypted. And so hopefully the encryption is so good that even your network provider can't see what it is, you know what I mean? So that they can't put in their firewall to stop you from going to this other site and doing things as if you were living somewhere else. So yeah, VPN is quite useful. I use VPN all the time. And because of this security that has built into it as well, you know, like whenever I go and do any online banking, I will turn on my VPN first. And so that means that anything coming out of my computer or my phone while I got the VPN on is encrypted. Nobody else can read it. It's end-to-end encrypted. So, sorry? Especially if you're in an airport. Don't buy anything while you're in the airport, right? Well, if you do, make sure you got your VPN on, because the airport, those well, we call them access points. Most of the rooms in the college have an access point. There it is. So it's beside that AC vent. So that in the ceiling, you see that brown little box there? That's an access point. That's providing Wi-Fi. That's a Wi-Fi radio, right? So So that's sending out and receiving back messages from everybody who's surfing on their phone at the moment, right? So the problem is at the airport is that those access points can be, how you say, attacked by a hacker. And so that they could, well, what a hacker could do is they could sit there with their phone and they could make their phone an access point. And so then they're sitting between you and the access point, and your traffic comes into their phone. And you know, oh, look at that. There's a password for a bank account. Oh, that's nice. All right, so yeah, use a VPN, because then all they'll get is, oh, a bunch of zeros and ones. What am I going to do with that? Nothing. Well, they wouldn't see it as zeros and ones because it comes in what we call a hexadecimal format. Hexadecimal is zeros through A, B, C, D, E, F. So it's 0 to F. All right, so we have drones and we have driverless vehicles. Internet of Things is kind of exciting. I think that goes along. Oh, I'm not going to watch a movie with you. You can watch a movie yourself
Things, or IoT,
anytime.
is
So
influencing our
I don't have time for
lifestyle,
that.
the way we react,
Let's
the
stop.
way we behave.
How do I stop it?
From air conditioners that you can control with your smartphone, to smart cars providing the shortest route, or your smartwatch which is tracking your daily
Where is it?
activities.
I'm trying this.
IoT is a giant network of connected
Left?
devices.
That one. Yes, thank you. Goodness. So yeah, watch the video in your own time. Data center is a big thing. We got a data center here at the college at the end of building 3. And it's got a bunch of servers on it and a bunch of networking equipment. You might want to go down there sometime. What's to me, what was noticeable about the data center, first place, they got a couple of diesel engines sitting behind the data center, quite big diesel engines that are connected to the power and a generator. So if the power goes down on the college, they fire up the diesel engines, they go automatically, and they got like a day or something of power that they're just going to power that data center. And the other thing that you'd notice if you went down there is it's freezing cold. I mean, it's like 15 degrees in the data center. Nobody's working in there full time. They go in there and they work for a couple hours, a few minutes, and come out. So if you ever do get a chance to go in the data center, take a coat. Otherwise, you won't be able to stay in there very long. Now, why would it be so cold?
Because the
computer gets extremely hot, and that makes the components wear out and break down. And so they keep it nice and cold so the components don't break down. Yeah.
And that's why we have fans in our PCs nowadays.
Yes. Also to blow the heat out. Yeah. Very good. So yeah, the components, if they get hot, they will not last as long.
Oh, yeah.
So if you want them to last, you keep them nice and cool, relatively cool. So we have this concept of big data. The idea being that we can scrape all kinds of data from all over the world or whatever. We can do that in a very, how you say, focused way. So maybe we have some particular research that we want to do. And so we go to a particular source and we get a bunch of data. There's a lot of public data out there. You can scrape data from Facebook, Google, whatever people put out there. And then you can take that data and find patterns. Now, how you find patterns is that you're going to use some kind of like a neural network thing. This is just the technology that you'll use. You can do this also writing little programs in Python, etc., but looking for patterns. So the thing about that is that we're using the computer power, big lots of data, and then lots of computer power to find patterns that a person wouldn't be able to find because they just wouldn't have enough time. And so based on that, we can come up with knowledge that we would never have. All right, so that's the idea of artificial intelligence. You can train the computer using the neural network to recognize a particular pattern and then sort of to use that in a way of making decisions later. So that's artificial intelligence. From my limited understanding of it, there are people here at the college that know a lot more about it than me, and you can sort of find out from them also. That would be the Google data center in 2014. And you can see a lot of machines there, right? So the Google data center, Google, Amazon, they're running these huge data centers so that you can put your business onto the cloud. We call it the cloud. So you can lift your business up onto the cloud so you don't have to have your own big data center. You can just push everything up there. And the idea of that is you got what we call scalability, which means you can start with your business really small and you can grow it really fast, or you can make it small again without sort of buying lots of computer stuff. Because what you can do is you can just rent month by month. So this month I'm going to rent this much from Amazon. Next month, a lot more. Oh, no, I don't like that business. I'm going to do something else. So I'm going to close this down. Next month, I stop renting from them. And that's a lot of businesses find that's a cheaper way to do it. The other thing it does is it gives you total portability, right? If you're using a cloud application, then it doesn't matter where you are, right? You want to do your business here in Doha today, and then you move to Serbia tomorrow, just keep on doing your business, right? As long as you've got connection to the cloud, then you can sort of carry on doing your business. And so that's, if you thought you're going to move your business around a lot, that might be kind of useful to you as well. So from the personal point of view, you might find that you have a Microsoft account. You might buy a Microsoft account when you buy a computer. Here at the college, you have a Microsoft account, right? Because you're talking about using Teams. That's you can access your Microsoft account through your college ID. So you'll have that. Now, comes with the Microsoft account comes all the Microsoft software. So that includes your Microsoft Word, your not all the software. There's some that you have to pay for separately, but Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint, these kind of things are there. But also will be OneDrive, and so OneDrive is a cloud storage facility which is part of your Microsoft account. So I use that because that means that I do some stuff work, I put it up onto my cloud storage, right? So then I go home. And, there it is, no carrying around thumb drives, or, I go to another country, there it is. Just when I log in to my Microsoft account, I can go to my OneDrive. And as I said, I could be sitting in Serbia, I could be sitting in Thailand, I could be sitting in Doha, and I'm looking at the same stuff. And I don't have to carry it around in a thumb drive. I think that's good.
Yeah.
So there you go. I think we've sort of covered that, and it's almost an hour. And thanks, guys, for not going to sleep on me. That was probably kind of hard. Any questions?